Hey guys, KingRazzel here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Dead Island Definitive Edition. Now, initially I planned on reviewing the whole collection, but unfortunately I didn't get the chance to complete both games, so I'm going to have to save Dead Island Riptide Definitive Edition review for a later date. But anyways, this game was released on March the 31st, 2016, and was released on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, and this review relates specifically to the version that was on the PlayStation 4, as that is the version that I played. If you guys have watched my previous reviews, then you already know the deal with how this is going to work. I'll be reviewing the game based on its story, gameplay, multiplayer, and value, and with this game, since it is a definitive edition, I'll also be dedicating a section to the differences from this one and the original. But without any more introduction, let's just jump right into this. The story of the game begins with your selection of character. You have the choices of rapper Sam B, hotel receptionist and spy for the Chinese government Xian, former football star Logan, and ex-police officer Perna. The actual story kicks off with your character waking up in a hotel room the night after a big party, which can be seen in the game's opening, accompanied by Sam B's hit song, Who Do You Voodoo, Bitch? A great song title. And your character wakes up in the seemingly abandoned halls of the hotel to find that zombies have overrun the once tropical beach resort of Benoi, and you're smack dab in the middle of this chaos. A voice over the intercom urges you to get out of the hotel, and you meet up with him. After you've made it to the survivor's house, you learn that you are somehow immune to this zombie virus. From here, the story follows the 4 immune survivors as they go around the island rescuing people who have their hands full with the undead and trying to find a way to escape. They will begin on the island with its survivors before making it to a city, the jungle, and finally a prison, all of which span the course of 3 acts. If you've played the story from the original version of Dead Island, then there are no change-ups, so if you liked it on there, then you're going to like it on here as well. Personally, I never found myself overly interested in what was going on. You'll meet a character like Cinemoy who offers you a string of quests, and after you've completed those objectives, you'll move on to the next area where you'll basically just forget the characters from the previous area. No one is overly memorable, and to top that off, the main villain of the game, Ryder White, is only truly introduced to you just before you're about to face him. Now, you will have interactions with him beforehand via radio communication, but to me, it just seemed like an abrupt end. The game plays just like it did in the original version. You'll play the game in a first-person view, playing the majority with melee combat weapons, but guns will become available once you've progressed far enough into the campaign. Melee weapons range from coat racks to katanas, and they all can be upgraded, as well as a large number of them modified. In order to modify a weapon, however, you'll first need to acquire a mod either by finding it in the world or as a reward for completing a quest. After you've acquired the mod, you'll need to make sure that you have the necessary components. You'll find these through scavenging the world. Once you've collected all that you need, you'll need to find a workbench and you can apply the mod to the weapon. The way that I explain this may make it seem like it's a long process, but it's actually really quite easy. Now, depending on the character that you've selected at the beginning of the game, you'll have a skill tree which will offer upgrades in the categories of Fury, Combat, and Survival. Fury is dependent on the character that you've selected. With Perna, the character that I selected, Fury brought out a pistol which could deal massive damage during short bursts of time, and other characters just use different weapons, so they have similar effects. Combat, this tree is different for everyone, but the basics of it are it makes you more formidable against zombies by increasing your melee, your stamina, or things of that nature. Finally, Survival, again, which is different for each character, but the basics of that is to make it easier to craft things, give you more XP, more inventory slots, and things of that nature. For my opinions on how it plays, I'm actually a fan of it. The combat has a sense of weight to it. When you hit a zombie, the controller will vibrate, giving you a sense of connection, and I like that. I would like to say, however, that playing through this game, I did get a bit fatigued near the end of it, since it is just a lot of bashing zombie skulls in with a bat. But for what the game is, I do think that it did a decent job of mixing up combat with various enemy types, such as the Suicider and the Butcher. The game has a heavy emphasis on multiplayer. For one thing, there are 4 main characters and they're meant to be taken over by a controlling player. And for another thing, the cutscenes treat you as if you're playing with a group, even if you're playing in solo. Now, personally, I had some issues with the multiplayer. However, a majority of them stemmed from the player base as opposed to the game itself. I did, however, have one issue that I can blame on the game, which was a crash that I had, and of course it came in the only sustainable lobby that I found in the 2 hours of multiplayer that I tried. Such is life, I guess. Now, personally, I've had some issues with the player base, not with them being mouthy or anything like that, but more of them just leaving lobbies or standing in one place when the rest of the group needs them in order to move on. If you can get a group of 4 together who all have this game, then I think the multiplayer would work extremely well. There's the same level progression as if you were playing in solo, and I'm sure the exploration factor would be much more fun with friends. However, if you're like me and don't have anyone to play this game with, then it may just be a bit of an annoyance just trying to keep a lobby together, especially if you're trying to get some of the multiplayer trophies that are in this game. For the differences, there are 2 things I'd like to talk about. First is the graphics. I'm going to go ahead and put up a video comparison between the PS3 and the PlayStation 4.
Things that go bump in the night.
What the? Jesus!
Me, jerk. Sam B. Okay. Shrunken head, broken legs, body parts on the concrete. Cut 'em up, butcher style gators in the swamp. Red light, leave 'em dead, running like a track meet. Scared of nobody.
You know who I am. Give any idea who you're fucking talking to. Or maybe you saw me in the playoffs. I played for the fucking goddamn champions.
The graphics look much better on the PlayStation 4, and the gameplay is much more smooth as well. With Dead Island on the PS3, I do remember certain areas lagging, but with the 4, I had no such issues, and obviously it looks a little bit nicer on the PlayStation 4. Now for the more important difference is the glitches that I encountered. I had several glitches while playing this game, from minor annoyances such as texture glitches, to ones that crashed my game and others that nearly completely stunted my progress. First, let's look at the one that crashed my game. I'm going to go ahead and put up a condensed video of it right now. As you saw in the video, the game shut down on me twice, freezing and taking me to a black screen. I don't know why this happened, and I never had it happen on me anywhere else in the game, other than this particular area after a mission where you secure the armored car that you see. However, this one could be a malfunction on my PlayStation 4, since I had had the system on for several hours at this point, and it may have been overheating, but take that as you will. Now for the second glitch that almost completely stunted my progress, I'll go ahead and play the clip of that one right now.
Yeah, you're really dead.
You see in the clip that the gate will not open. This is a section after the laboratory where you're tasked with searching for a local tribe. Now, I looked up a walkthrough on this game to make sure that I just didn't miss something, and that was the reason the gate wasn't opening, and there was no real reason for the gate not to be opened. So if I wasn't able to jump it with the use of a car, it would have been something that I wouldn't have been able to overcome, because this is the only way to get into that particular area. And this glitch never did fix itself, because I did go back to this area later on in the game, and the gate still did not open. The value of this game is actually quite high in my opinion. It's basically the same as with the PlayStation 3 version, but it does include the bonus content such as the Rider White campaign and the Bloodbath Arena. Not to mention that if you have friends with this game, it can easily add hours of replayability just going through particular areas with them, and there's also a New Game Plus, which is always nice. Overall, I think this game was very solid. Some things I didn't like about the game were the at times repetitive zombie fights, the forgettable characters, and of course the glitches. Some things I did like about the game were the extensive mod crafting, the gameplay was fun, and the different areas felt unique. Overall, I think I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10. If you're someone who missed out on this game for the previous console generation and you think it looks fun, then definitely go check this one out. But if you've already played it, then there's not much new here, but it is still fun regardless. Alright guys, so that's my take on this game. I looked at it as fair and as just as I could, and that's where I landed on it. If you guys have played this one and would like to let me know what you guys thought about it, then leave it in the comments below. And also let me know if you guys encountered any of the glitches that I did, because I'm curious about that. My next review will be for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, which comes out on the 7th of this month. However, the review will not be up until the 20th, because next week is E3, and I'm going to dedicate that entire week to covering information that comes out of there. But anyways, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you all in the next one.